a famous Mexican and American ghost story from the Southwest. The spectral nurse from central Mexico's metropolitan hospitals is the protagonist of this eerie tale. An archaic nurse's attire is on display here. Various accounts of this tale exist. A story that has been recounted many times is this one. A connection to Mexico City's Hospital Juarez is implied in this tale. A nurse named Eulalia was employed at the institution during the 1930s. Her uniforms were spotless and pressed. The people who were fortunate enough to have her as a nurse were really fortunate. However, all of that changed when a dashing young doctor started working at the hospital. A social relationship developed between Eulalia and this doctor. Their love blossomed quickly, and Eulalia was soon engaged. They were engaged for a short time before the doctor departed for a medical conference. He failed to return the week after, much to Eulalia's dismay and worry. The doctor still hadn't replied after another week. Concern about Eulalia's safety was overwhelming. Something awful must have transpired, she thought to herself. The hospital didn't hear from the doctor for a few weeks. Apparently, he had met and married a lady in the town that held the conference. Eulalia fell into a profound despair when her heart shattered. Her job was negatively impacted by her overwhelming sadness. She began to disregard the well-being of the people entrusted to her care. As a direct consequence of her carelessness, one of her patients passed away one night. In the midst of her tragic mistake, Eulalia became unwell. Her lack of self-respect led her to succumb to her illness while on the job at the hospital. Mysterious occurrences began after her death. A nurse's presence in the emergency department became apparent to patients, nurses, and physicians. According to other accounts, she doesn't float around the hospital halls, but rather seems to glow. According to several onlookers, she seems to walk normally. However, it is mentioned in every one of these accounts that her footsteps are unheard. The phantom nurse became to be known as La Planchada by the hospital personnel, because to her consistent appearance in a well-maintained uniform. The most interesting things are the patient reports. In the hospital's emergency room, this spectral nurse not only makes appearances, but also provides care to patients. Supposedly, this nurse takes care of patients at night when other members of the hospital staff are too busy to pay attention to them. These patients are able to be transferred to less intensive care units in the morning since they are feeling better. In response to a question on their emotional state, they say, "A nurse came in and healed me." It is said that Eulalia's shame is the reason she comes back as a spirit nurse. It would seem that she would always have to pay the price for her life's error. Many tellings of this tale exist, as shown before. One telling has the nurse being damned to spend all eternity caring for her ill patients, since she was a horrible person who abused them. According to an alternate timeline, the young doctor turns down Eulalia's proposal and instead weds the lady he is engaged to. She vents her frustrations upon her patients as a result. Several of them perish as a consequence.